Tonight, cracking down on car thefts, Ottawa unveils its action plan. But with a vehicle stolen every 6 minutes in Canada, is it enough?
It's like taking a squirt gun to a huge water fight.
Should manufacturers do more? Iran's president dead in a helicopter crash. Where this leaves the country and the Middle East.
This is the living room here.
Rental units trashed, costing thousands in damage.
People want to do some good, but once they're in, they're left to their own devices.
We break down why some landlords say a plan to tackle homelessness is failing them and their tenants.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. We begin with Ottawa's push to crack down on soaring vehicle thefts in this country, now totaling $1 billion a year. Today, federal ministers unveiled what they're calling a national action plan to target thieves, bolster law enforcement, and retrieve more stolen cars before they end up overseas. It's the latest in a series of government efforts to deal with rampant car thefts. But as Katie Nicholson shows us, it comes with few hard details, and early reviews are pretty mixed.
They broke this window. They actually climbed in through the broken window.
Mitchell Levine has lost 3 cars to thieves in the last few years, one stolen right from his Toronto driveway, and 2 other unsuccessful attempts on this Highlander, prompting him to install multiple cameras.
Are we going to become a society like the U.S. where we have to live in gated communities to have any sense of security?
Car theft is skyrocketing in Canada, with 90,000 cars stolen a year, one roughly every 6 minutes. Many shipped overseas. Under pressure to act, Ottawa held an auto theft summit earlier this year. But Count Levine unimpressed with the new federal plan to curb the problem.
It's like taking a squirt gun to a huge water fight.
I'm pleased to unveil our new national action plan on combating auto theft.
The plan has 3 prongs: toughening the criminal code for car theft offenses and better information sharing between different police forces and customs officers, and more intervention at the border, like investing in technology that can scan cargo.
This will allow more containers to be examined.
The feds say they'll also review vehicle regulations to push manufacturers to embrace more anti-theft innovations.
I'd like to see a vehicle harder to steal right from the beginning.
Brian Gass, an investigator who has linked Canada's stolen car problem to organized crime, says this plan is the right step forward.
This will send a strong message to the organized crime groups that are profiting from these vehicle crimes.
Rolled out on a holiday Monday, it's still a little squishy on the details, and that bothers Mitchell Levine.
There's not enough tangible things.
So for now, he'll strategically park his Highlander, coveted by car thieves, behind a car that isn't, and hope for the best.
So, Katie, part of the plan you mentioned includes better scanning of ports, but we're talking about thousands of containers, multiple ports. This is a huge challenge.
Yeah, and a lot of money. Right now, they're consulting with other Five Eyes countries to pinpoint what technology would work best. So they're looking for those scanners. They also want CBSA agents to be able to crack open those cargo containers and take a peek inside. So they're talking about technology. You need people who can run the technology. You need people who can open the containers. They say that they're going to hire more staff, but last year the union representing CBSA told us they were looking at something like 3,000 vacancies nationwide. So not impossible, but definitely, as you say, a challenge.
Huge task. All right, Katie Nicholson, thank you. We're learning more tonight about a catastrophic boat crash near Kingston, Ontario that killed 3 people in their 20s and injured 5. Kimberly Molina spoke to a man who heard the tragic impact on Saturday and then jumped in to help.
For cottager Tony Hammond, the crash and the frantic moments after are seared into his memory.
6 parents lost their loved ones this weekend.
Just after sunset on Saturday night, police say 2 boats collided, a speedboat and an open bow fishing boat. 3 people were killed, another 5 injured, 1 critically. The crash happened just across the lake from Hammond's dock.
I'm just hoping that I don't hear the crunch, and then I hear the crunch.
He says he saw a group of young adults in the fishing boat throughout the day, playing music, laughing. He and his brother raced down to the dock and got in their boat to try and help.
We spotted the first human in the water, and my brother jumped in. We pulled her out. We dragged her onto this guy, began performing CPR. There was no signs of life.
The 3 people who died were all in their early 20s and all from this area. People along the bay say they've too often seen boaters speeding, even at night, which boat safety experts say is a recipe for disaster.
You just have to respect the water and make sure that you understand that there are other people out there.
For Hammond, there's one image he can't shake.
There was debris bobbing in the water. That flip-flop. It tells the story. If you're wearing your flip-flops, you're out for a fun summer weekend. Long weekend. First long weekend. The very first long weekend. They don't get a second long weekend this summer.
Kimberly Molina, CBC News, Bobs Lake, Ontario.
There are questions tonight about what exactly caused a helicopter crash in Iran that killed the country's president and 7 others. Katie Simpson shows us new video from the crash site and looks at where this leaves Iran's leadership.
Oh, shit. This is said to be the moment emergency crews reached the helicopter crash site. With large pieces of debris strewn across a wooded area on a mountainside in northwestern Iran. In spots, the ground is charred from what looks to have been a fiery impact. To recover the bodies of everyone on board, first responders had to trek across that difficult terrain. Iranian state TV said President Ibrahim Raisi's helicopter encountered bad weather and had a technical failure. Some in Iran blamed Western sanctions for the lack of access to aircraft parts, a claim the U.S. firmly rejected.
It's the Iranian government that is responsible for the decision to fly a 45-year-old helicopter in what was described as poor weather conditions, not any other actor.
Reaction to Raisi's death has varied. Some in Tehran gathered to mourn and pray. Allies, including the Turkish president, offered condolences, as did officials in China and Russia. And at the United Nations, there was a moment of silence. But there were also celebrations, highlighting Raisi's actions dating back to the 1980s, when he oversaw the execution of political prisoners, and the more recent anti-government protests, largely led by women, over the death of Mahsa Amini.
Some of the worst human rights abuses occurred during his tenure as president, especially the human rights abuses against the women and girls of Iran.
Raisi's death triggered an emergency cabinet meeting, and a caretaker government is organizing elections for June. They are trying to maintain calm until new leadership is in place.
I don't foresee any major policy changes from Iran. They're likely going to want to keep this as stable as they can and as uninterrupted as they can in terms of government policies.
So, Katie, Iran is ruled by its supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, and President Raisi, I suppose, was largely seen as his maybe likely successor?
Yeah, and so that's the next big picture question. Who is going to fill that void? Raisi was largely seen as a weak leader, someone who was implementing the will of the Ayatollah. And that is why analysts tell me they're not expecting any changes when it comes to Iran's domestic or foreign policy, especially right now with the war in the Middle East. Here in the U.S., officials say they have no plans to change their Iran policy. They did offer official condolences, which sparked backlash online from Raisi's critics. But those condolences later came with a scathing assessment of Raisi's record. Adrian.
All right, Katie Simpson in Washington. The International Criminal Court's chief prosecutor is seeking arrest warrants for Hamas's top leaders on suspicion of war crimes. But as Briar Stewart shows us, he also wants to arrest Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
In northern Gaza, rescuers recover more bodies from the ruins of apartment blocks. The latest victims in a war which Gaza health officials say has already killed more than 35,000. Now the chief prosecutor for the International Criminal Court says what's happening in Gaza includes evidence of war crimes and crimes against humanity.
Intentionally causing death, starvation, injury, and suffering to the civilian population, including so very many women and children. are criminal means to achieve military and political goals.
The prosecutor is seeking arrest warrants for Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who recently met with U.S. officials to say Israel is committed to expanding its campaign in Rafah, where UN officials have warned a major offensive could worsen the humanitarian crisis. Arrest warrants are also being sought for 3 Hamas leaders, including Yahya Sinwar, the head of the group in Gaza. On October 7th, Hamas militants killed about 1,200 in Israel and took more than 250 hostage. The prosecutor believes during that attack and in the months afterwards, there's evidence Hamas committed crimes against humanity, including sexual violence and torture. Both sides have condemned the accusations.
It's a moral outrage of historic proportions.
The U.S. is Israel's biggest ally, and neither country is a signatory to the International Criminal Court.
There should be no equivalence between Israel and Hamas. None.
It's been a long time coming.
This professor of international law says if both sides are charged, it may complicate ceasefire negotiations, but it could also dial up the pressure.
Everyone has pleaded with Israel not to do what they're doing, and they persist. Perhaps this will be this will tip things in the other direction.
It's now up to a panel of judges to decide whether to issue these warrants. If it does, Netanyahu would be the first leader from a Western-style democracy to face these charges. And it means that he would be unable to travel to the more than 120 countries that have signed on to the International Criminal Court, because the authorities there would be compelled to arrest him. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
For the first time in months, Haiti has reestablished a crucial link to the outside world. Port-au-Prince's international airport again open to commercial flights. So for now, it's just local airlines flying, but other major carriers are expected to follow in the coming weeks. Armed gangs started attacking the airport in late February, but the Haitian government has managed to set up a security perimeter. The prosecution has rested its case at Donald Trump's criminal trial in New York. Still, Trump's team is again asking for a dismissal.
We've asked for termination of the case. This shouldn't go anywhere. It should be terminated right now.
Trump's lawyers argue star witness Michael Cohen's testimony is not credible, given Cohen's criminal record, his history of lying, and his admission that he stole money from Trump. The trial resumes tomorrow. Back in this country, the Prime Minister will meet with business and union leaders in Philadelphia tomorrow. Tom Perry now on how Ottawa is preparing for a possible second Trump presidency and all the trade and diplomatic challenges that could bring.
Thank you very much, Governor.
Industry Minister François-Philippe Champagne this month visiting the American heartland, Nebraska, a state where nearly 60% of voters backed Donald Trump in the 2020 election.
There's never been a better time for Canada and the United States and Nebraska to work together.
Champagne has been spending a lot of time south of the border building relationships with politicians and business leaders.
This is work in progress. We're going to keep engaging with them, and I think it's in the best interest of Canadians for us to do that.
Bonjour tout le monde. Just
Treasury Board President Anita Anand and Defense Minister Bill Blair were also in the U.S. last week, showing the flag, what the government is calling a Team Canada effort in the lead up to the U.S. election in November.
Whoever is in office, we need to work on this relationship. We can't take it for granted. And we're going to have to demonstrate, not that it's in Canada's interest, but that it's in the Americans' interest, that we maintain and strengthen the bilateral relationship that we have today.
Canada has tangled with the Biden administration over its Buy American policies. But it was Donald Trump who slapped tariffs on Canadian goods during his first term and who has promised a protectionist America First trade policy if he's reelected. The differences between the two contenders are stark, but observers warn Canada can't be seen to be taking sides.
It cannot be MAGA bad, Democrat good. It cannot be framed in partisan terms. It's got to be framed as Canada is your ally and your trusted partner on security, prosperity, and the strength of the North American region.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is expected to stick to that theme when he speaks here in Philadelphia tomorrow, as he and his government try as best they can to prepare for the U.S. election and whatever comes after. Tom Perry, CBC News, Philadelphia.
Well, Canadian hockey fans are buzzing tonight as the Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers go head-to-head. This is a do-or-die Game 7. Only one team will advance to the Western Conference Final and keep their Stanley Cup dreams alive. Georgie Smythe is at an outdoor watch party in Vancouver tonight. So, Georgie, what are you hearing from fans?
Well, it's a nervous wait for Canucks and Oilers fans tonight. As you say, it is a do-or-die game tonight, but everyone is getting caught up in the hype of this must-win game.
Certainly trying to fit in around here, and
the Canucks are still converting last-minute fans.
Go Canucks!
Canuck diehards from all corners of BC have descended on Vancouver for Game 7 against the Oilers.
Well, I really want to see him win. I want to see him play Dallas.
The energy and the excitement is still there, and people believe.
But some fans are still shaken by a Game 6 loss.
It was just such a heavy defeat. I think all the momentum in a way is going to Edmonton now.
The Canucks and the Oilers have never faced each other in a Game 7. Vancouver is missing its top goal scorer and star goalie, but they also haven't lost any back-to-back playoff games yet. This Oilers fan says his side is ready for a battle.
Anything can happen. That's the beauty about the NHL, man. Game 7, anything can happen.
The Oilers have two of the best players in the world on the ice tonight, but pundits say the Canucks shouldn't be underestimated.
One of the things that's made this Canucks season so special is their ability to bounce back. We saw it all regular season. We've seen it here in the playoffs as well.
At stake is a trip to the Western Conference Final against the Dallas Stars, and for certain, the end of the playoff dream for one Canadian team.
This is what everybody wanted and hoped for when this series started. Two Canadian teams, two passionate fan bases, 6 games in, they've split them this far, so settle it with a one-game winner-take-all. You can't ask for a whole lot more than that.
Hey, so, Georgie, I've covered a few Game 7s in Vancouver. I know there's so many fans who live in the downtown core. Safety is often a concern. So how's that being addressed?
Well, you might notice that we're in a pretty suburban-looking park for this watch party. We're about 20 minutes away from downtown, and that's all part of the strategy from the city and police to disperse fans away from the downtown core and hopefully avoid some of the post-game violence we've seen in previous years, including the infamous riot in 2011.
Okay, all right. Georgie Smythe in Vancouver. So in an industry that earns billions every year, there is a shift underway in veterinarian clinics across Canada. Big companies buying independent practices, what it could mean for your pet. Next. The cargo ship that downed a bridge in Baltimore finally hauled away. The massive operation nearly 2 months in the making. And she swam for 17 hours through shark-infested waters, right into the history books.
I cried as soon as I hit the buoy with my hands, and I yelled, "I did it!"
We're back in 2 minutes. The massive container ship that slammed into Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge was finally removed this morning. It was stuck for nearly 8 weeks. The operation is the latest step towards fully reopening the port. 6 people were killed when the ship lost power and collided with the bridge, causing it to collapse. Many veterinarian offices across Canada are being bought up by large corporations. As Anise Haydari shows us, that is increasing costs for providers, and it has some owners looking at their options.
Hi, give me a kiss. Joseph Laskowski is fussy about his dog Grant's care.
To have a personal vet who really has a vested interest in your animal as well as their own business, it's important.
So he drives hours from Calgary to Kelowna to avoid going to a corporate chain.
Well, I go with independent vets, but I've known my vet for 15 years.
In some places, independent vets who run their own business are an endangered breed. Take Halifax, where CBC News found more than 40% are corporately owned. Not Ryan Redgrave's clinic. He says when vets own their own clinics, it's harder, but there are benefits to not answering to a head office.
If we've got somebody that we've worked with for a long time and we think it's fair to perhaps mark something down or not charge for something, I've got the flexibility to do that.
In Canada, the companies VetStrategy, VCA, and NVA are the biggest corporate owners. None granted CBC News an interview, but in a statement, VetStrategy said there's continued demand among veterinarians to be part of a larger network, though newer vets can't always compete when companies buy clinics at big prices.
They come out of school with large school debt. They also want to continue their medical training. So going out and buying a $2 or $3 million practice in their first 5 years out of school is pretty tough.
And there's opportunity in an industry that earns more than $9 billion a year.
And then, of course, during the pandemic, we really saw an uptick in the spending on animals and also the acquiring of new pets. So that just added fuel to the interest in corporate veterinary medicine.
Not all pet owners are worried, though.
I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the vet clinic is called, if it's private or a brand. It's more who the person itself is and how they treat us and our dog.
Perhaps the opinion that matters the most. Anis Hidari, CBC News, Calgary.
Red Lobster is filing for bankruptcy in the U.S. Founded in 1968, Red Lobster grew to become the largest seafood restaurant chain in the world, and its popularity may have been part of the problem. Last year's all-you-can-eat shrimp promotion was so popular with customers it took a big bite out of the company's profits. Red Lobster has not confirmed whether its 27 Canadian locations will remain open. TikTok is now promising to label content that's created using artificial intelligence.
It is so difficult to tell whether that's the real person talking to you or whether that's an AI deepfake.
But is it enough to warn kids what's real and what's fake? That's next. Plus, piles of trash damage property, why landlords say a program to help with homelessness is failing.
You feel tricked, in a sense.
100%.
We break down one city's approach that has some feeling abandoned. The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next.
You all tried to do the selling. What is this one?
A rather cheerful King Charles and Queen Camilla as they toured the annual Chelsea Flower Show in London. This is an exhibition of some of the world's most innovative floral designs, including this garden created by children, for children, but they made an exception for Charles and Camilla, both known to be avid gardeners. As artificial intelligence becomes more sophisticated, it can be hard to tell what is real, especially for kids and teens using social media. TikTok has committed to labeling AI-generated content, but as Ithil Musa shows us, experts say it's not enough.
David Bashai considers himself to be pretty social media savvy, but the 17-year-old admits artificial intelligence is making it hard to distinguish fact from fiction.
I have seen examples online where it is so difficult to tell whether that's the real person talking to you or whether that's an AI deepfake, and it's scary, right?
Social media companies like Snapchat, TikTok, and Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, have all recently committed to labeling AI-generated content. TikTok has also created a guide with the nonprofit Media Smarts to help parents and their kids navigate the platform safely.
Ongoing conversations about media use make a huge difference in how kids behave and in how they deal with challenges and problems.
This expert says younger kids are especially vulnerable, so having the tools to assess what they're seeing is critical.
So they don't have a lot of background in critical thought. A combination of parents, teachers, there are a lot of locations where you can start to say, how do we become critical consumers of media?
While Sarah Kasai considers herself to be one, the 15-year-old still worries AI perpetuates unrealistic beauty standards on platforms where real models are already nearly perfect.
At least they still have imperfections. They're still people. As a young girl, it's kind of hard to not compare yourself to these standards that don't even exist.
Latchman says another challenge is that young people are also using AI to create content, sometimes without a full understanding of how harmful it can be.
We've seen in kids as young as in middle school, people have put the faces of young women in their classes on nude bodies. and circulated them around on private messaging. And that is horrific.
Latchman says social media can have a negative impact on mental health, and AI has the capacity to supercharge the problem if we don't pay close enough attention. Idil says CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. Landlords feel abandoned and stuck with costly damages after joining a program to house people with no home.
When the agencies came to me and said, well, the rents are guaranteed, that was a big selling point, right?
Part of the deal was that tenants would get mental health supports.
But once they're in, they're left to their own devices, it seems.
The agencies say they've done what they can.
Again, because these are taxpayers' dollars, we don't want to endlessly pay to fix units. That's not the intent of the program.
You feel tricked, in a sense.
100%.
The Housing First model is used in cities across Canada and beyond. Robin Miller breaks down why many in Ottawa believe the program is failing both the clients and the landlords and actually reducing the supply of rental housing.
The conditions that you see inside these units are appalling.
I stepped on a needle. I stepped in human crap. Oh. We're seeing a big difference in the mental health and addictions across the city.
We've had break-ins, we've had squatters.
What are you going to do?
Please, you're not welcome here.
We're in a housing crisis. Individuals need housing, and housing is the first stepping stone to getting your life back on track.
Housing without support is simply not housing first.
The city is passing their problem to landlords.
Some of the most disadvantaged people are suffering.
The housing crisis is a problem cities across the country are trying to tackle. And here in Ottawa, they're doing a housing first approach, which is essentially taking someone who lives on the street and putting them inside a home and then providing additional supports as required. The idea is that people are better able to move forward with their lives if they're housed first. But like so many well-intentioned ideas, it doesn't always work out that way.
You know, fluids, blood, urine, feces, whatever has seeped in.
This is Brian Dagenet. He's a landlord here in Ottawa. He purchased these 3 properties in the Byward Market about 5 years ago. Dagenet dreamed of one day demolishing them to develop more units, but in the meantime, he had to cover costs and rent them out. At the time, he says, several housing agencies approached him with promises of guaranteed rent and support for their clients, even access to a city damage fund.
When COVID hit, I think almost every walk of life was affected, mostly bad. One of the issues that COVID caused is a lot of tenants weren't able to pay. So when the agencies came to me and said, well, the rents are guaranteed, that was a big selling point, right?
Leases were signed, supported tenants moved in, a decision he now deeply regrets. Okay, so now we're going to go in and see some of the units that actually were rented? Yeah. Okay.
This is the living room here.
This is the result. 3 buildings, 13 units, 10 once occupied, now just 3 tenants left. We toured the vacant units, now left abandoned under a layer of filth, damage at nearly every turn.
Obviously we didn't witness it, but I mean it looks like knife marks, right?
The homes hardly recognizable from what they looked like on move-in day.
Oh. I don't think there's anything that the city could do or some of these agencies would do to ever make me trust them again.
He says he's dealt with everything, from hoarders to people with severe anger management and addictions issues. So each of the units has its own share of problems. In this one, for example, the heating was vandalized and then the pipes froze, which meant this whole kitchen was completely flooded. Discarded needles have also been a big problem because of how much it costs to clean them up. The damage is widespread.
Is this all rat droppings or something?
There's one.
Dagenet says he feels abandoned by some of the agencies he's worked with, including the Wabano Centre for Aboriginal Health. This is what Wabano promised: guaranteed rents paid directly to the landlord, help navigating the city damage fund, and weekly visits with their clients. But in a statement, the Wabano Centre painted a different picture of how their Housing First program works. The director of housing said they focus on connecting clients with available rentals and then providing rental supplements to those who are eligible. After that happens, though, they say the relationship is primarily between the landlord and the tenant.
I don't work there, so it's hard for me to comment on it, but I do know the solution is if the big agency doesn't have those resources, throwing it onto the landlord or throwing it onto the client or expecting the neighbors to just suck it up and deal with it, not really an answer.
You feel tricked in a sense.
100%. 100%, yeah.
Dagenet shared dozens of emails with Wabeno and other agencies he's worked with, including Operation Come Home. They tell the story of a very frustrated landlord on the brink of a breakdown. In exchange after exchange, we saw Dagenet ask for money to repair damages or highlight concerns about the safety and mental well-being of supported clients. At times, he says his requests were denied. In other instances, the agencies wanted quotes or referred him to the city's landlord damage fund. Dagenet says he was able to access that fund at times, but hasn't seen any money now for months, and the damages keep coming.
I estimate that the damages done by city-supported tenants and or their guests, $100,000, maybe $200,000 over the past 4 years.
That's partly because he can't rent these places out anymore. Operation Come Home wouldn't comment on specific cases, but in a statement said they work with their partners and clients to address any concerns that may arise. Wabeno and Operation Come Home are just 2 of the 11 agencies involved in the City of Ottawa's Housing First program. Some of the landlords and housing workers we spoke to for this story didn't want to go on camera because of fear of blowback from the city or the agencies that they continue to work with and for. But our research did lead us here, to this abandoned building in Vanier, where we called up the landlord. Thanks for doing this. We're just standing in front of your place here. Can you introduce yourself to us to start with?
My name is Arjun Gupta, and I just bought this property as an investment property.
And what are you going to do with the property now?
I'm just going to probably let the bank take over.
Defeated and ready to count it as a loss, a $250,000 loss. Arjun Gupta bought this property in 2022. He says he wasn't told some of the people living here were supported clients, helped into housing by the Canadian Mental Health Association. He too says they weren't receiving the proper support, and he had to hire a property manager.
I am a supporter of Housing First, but the problem here is the follow-up or support once tenants are moved in. Clearly what has happened here is people wanted to do some good, get individuals who need housing, get them housing. But once they're in, they're left to their own devices, it seems.
The CMHA says they did what they could. They say housing workers did supply support here, but it's a consent-based program. If a client refuses help, there's not much they can do. Does the CMHA take any responsibility in kind of what happened there?
I don't think we really can. It was a building that had been owned by one landlord, sold it to another landlord. It wasn't in good condition when that happened. We were doing what we could in terms of support. We were actually working to try to get people out because there were property maintenance issues.
Issues, Beckett says, were caused by CMHA clients or their guests. Look at these videos, nearly a mirror image of the units in the Byward Market. Beckett manages about 70 properties across town. He says things were so bad here, he sometimes feared for his safety.
I've had to ask people to leave the site because it's not safe just to walk in the back, whether it's crack pipes, whether it is needles, or even open drugs that are unknown when entering in the property.
The CMHA says the clients that were living here had either moved out or been removed from their roster. If their case is closed, it doesn't mean that they move out.
No, yeah, they can still be a tenant there, and issues may still arise. So we can provide some coaching to the landlord on how to deal with that situation.
Do you think that happened in this case?
The landlord did reach out, and we were responsive to him. We connected him to the City of Ottawa to assess his claim, and that's where we left it.
They couldn't talk about these particular properties, but say they introduced that damage fund back in 2018 as a safeguard for landlords and to entice them to join the program. It was meant to cover the cost of significant damage caused by clients and their guests. What are the kind of guidelines around that? You mentioned that it's not normal wear and tear, so is the onus on the landlord to prove that it's not normal wear and tear, or like Is it a case-by-case basis? How does it work?
Yeah, because these are taxpayers' dollars, we have quite a robust system of intake and ensuring assessment of each damage claim.
Brown stressed that the fund is discretionary and there are limits.
So essentially, we don't want to pay again because these are taxpayers' dollars. We don't want to endlessly pay to fix units. That's not the intent of the program. When we're not able to work with those agencies to stabilize tenancies in the long term, we do support the landlord if they want to move towards eviction.
That's a long process though, right, to evict people?
It is a long process.
Especially now, after the pandemic and everything's so backlogged.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why during that period in a significantly long process to evict, that the unit likely will get much worse. But the thing is, we don't want to throw bad money after bad money, as it were.
So how much has the city paid out? Well over $300,000 last year alone, and keep in mind this doesn't include rental arrears. The amounts have been rising annually, which the city says is partly because more people know about the program, but also due to an increase in mental health and addictions issues fueled by a rising toxic drug supply.
There's a greater need for supportive housing that has that 24-hour on-site support, and that's a very much more extensive level of support than what we currently offer in Housing First. So as we're seeing those needs increase in the community, it's destabilizing more tenancies potentially within the Housing First program. So I guess simply put, we're able to intake less people into the Housing First program, and there's a greater need for supportive housing.
So how is the Housing First program supposed to work? When we come back, a success story.
I've been struggling with addiction for the past 40 years.
What's it like to have your own place, your own safe place?
We look at what's different in this case right after the break. We've shown you Ottawa apartments left in shambles after landlords accepted tenants with no other hope for a home.
What's it like to have your own place, your own safe place?
Scary.
The Home First program does have success stories like this one, but landlords say they're on the hook when things go wrong.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to ask him to leave.
Here's Robin Miller with the conclusion of her story and what it means for the supply of affordable housing.
So Housing First got going in the early 90s. The founder, Samson Barris, is a Canadian, but he was in New York City. He heard from so many people that he was doing outreach. Well, don't you get it? The first thing we need is housing.
Getting your own place. That's the first step. A roof over your head, no questions asked. You get to choose where you want to live with rental supplements provided, and then agencies tailor supports to your needs. In some cases, extensive support is required.
Housing without support is simply not Housing First. Now, what happened, unfortunately, is the term gets thrown around, and programs, will call themselves Housing First. It might help them get funding, for instance.
The model's effectiveness is supported by rigorous research done in several countries, including Canada, the United States, and France. In fact, the creator of the Housing First model, he was just named as one of Time magazine's 100 most influential people of 2024. Jim McNeil can understand why. He's a success story. This is his first apartment in Ottawa since he moved here in 2019. Prior to that, he slept in shelters and on the floors and couches of friends.
I'll be 55 soon. I've been struggling with addiction for the past 40 years.
Without the support of housing workers at Options Bytown, McNeil says he wouldn't be here, but now grapples with fear of losing the place he now calls home. What's it like to have your own place, your own safe place?
Scary. Very scary. It's hard, all right? Being alone. It's getting better, but the Option Bytown people are always there for me.
Options Bytown says it has a high success rate. Over 90% of people housed through its Housing First program are still housed 2 years later. The executive director says housing workers are available 24/7.
The support is really intensive, so again, our staff go on site into these apartments to support people, so they're able to watch for anything that might be going sideways with the tenancy and intervene early on.
Back in the Byward Market, Dagenet says his tenants weren't given that type of support, and even now the place is being used by squatters. We toured the property for over an hour and didn't realize we weren't alone.
So have we been in this one yet?
So this building is empty. In theory, someone broke in here.
So we should probably just, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna ask him to leave. Please, you're not welcome here. It's 12:30. 10 minutes, guys. That has happened a dozen times. Like, you see that and I think, wow, how much pain that person must be in. I just shake my head and it's quite sad and that's where I get quite disappointed. And I don't want to trivialize it and think, oh, there's a magic wand out there, but I do think that better efforts really need to be employed.
Hey, Robin, can you pull back the curtain a little bit? How did the story come to be?
Yeah, Adrian, Brian Dagenet, he got in touch with me a few months ago with his concerns about what was happening to his properties. And, you know, it took a while for him to sort of decide that he wanted to go public with this because, of course, he's a business person. He lives here in Ottawa, does business here. He wasn't sure he really wanted to go up against these agencies, go up against the city of Ottawa. However, you know, the damages, they kept coming, and he decided, you know, yeah, I want to tell this story, and let's do this. So we met up with him, and we did that tour.
I was thinking about you doing that tour. What was that like?
Yeah, you know, I was expecting some of the damages that we saw because Brian had sent me images and video that he had taken, but I wasn't really anticipating the extent. Almost every inch of that property had some sort of damage, so much stuff everywhere, holes in the walls, and it really, you know, even the smell, you know, I wasn't quite prepared for that either.
And briefly, Robin, what's next?
Yeah, well, that's part of the problem. These landlords feel like they don't have any recourse. You know, Brian Dagenet feeling like he's lost all trust in the city. The other landlord we spoke to feeling that way as well. So they're just kind of left with this mess. The city could potentially pay to repair these properties, but neither of these landlords are going to be participating in the program again, which of course is another part of this issue because, as we know, affordable housing, very hard to come by, and now we've got two landlords that are pulling out of any future plans to participate in this program.
All right, Robin Miller in Ottawa, thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, one woman's 17-hour swim through shark-infested waters.
I was going to be arriving at the island at what they call dinner time for the shark.
Well, you'll hear how that went right after the break. You are looking at a woman on a mission, 55-year-old Amy Gubser, as she attempted a grueling swim off the coast of San Francisco. So it was cold, it was dark, and it was through waters infested with sharks. Her daring feat makes our moment.
The most thrilling moment. I swam from the Golden Gate Bridge to the Farallon Islands. It took me 17 hours. We had no visibility. I had no idea where I was. I was going to be arriving at what they call dinner time for the shark. They're referred to as the rat pack.
All right, Amy, good luck. We love you.
And you're not allowed to wear a wetsuit. It's just baffling in itself. From what my crew tells me, they saw a carcass or half-eaten seals that I swam by. So it's obvious that I encountered them. I didn't see them, but they saw me. I cried as soon as I hit the buoy and I yelled, I did it. Taking on a swim like this is of course really difficult, but the reality is I have a brother, Dan Fine, who is battling stage 4 pancreatic cancer. I might have had discomfort for 17 plus hours, but each day he's fighting for his life. And I wanted to honor him and his courage.
Okay, women in their 50s are awesome. Let's just say that. Her brother also says he's very proud of her. And by the way, she didn't just train to swim. She studied the migratory patterns of sharks and the currents before she got in that water. Thank you for being with us from all of us here at The National. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.